So if you look, you see that black bracket that's bolted to the intake manifold with the 2 bolts? That is a reinforcement that we made that bolts up to the bracket that's on the carburetor for the low car cable. So let's look at the low car cable right here where it's bolted to the carburetor. And you'll notice that I have this spring on there, and this is something that's made by Sonic, so that when you're in wide open throttle, it'll compress rather than trying to force the cable open. Once again, this is a normal bracket here that would come over and hold the low car cable. I also have my cruise control cable hooked to it, but this is that black bracket that we showed from the other side. And let's get a better view of that. So once again, this is that black bracket. I don't know if you can see right down here is where it's bolted to the intake manifold. This is a 1/4 20, then a 5/16 18. Then it comes up here and bolts to the back of where that bracket is. What we found on these brackets was that this little bolt here that's supposed to keep it from rotating, as much as you adjust it, anytime you do anything, it throws the TV pressure off. So by having this black bracket in the back that ends up with a nice fixed point for this bracket, the TV pressures are almost exact every time you have to take it off. Now the other thing I want you to notice here is that there's only one spring here for the gas pedal return. Now you'd say, well, where's the other spring? Because you should always have 2 on there. Well, we have that underneath the car on the back end of the low car cable so that it returns the low car cable, and with this hooked here, it'll actually return the carburetor to idle. So like if I took this spring off, it would still go back every time. Now we're going to show you how that setup looks down at the transmission. So here we are in the transmission. And you can see that this is the shift lever, and then this would be the TV lever. And you'll notice right here is that extra spring that we made a bracket that bolts to the back of the transmission to hold that. You can see I got kind of crazy drilling holes here so that I would have the exact angle and pressure that I wanted for this. And the good part about this is it helps the TV pressure cable come back. Even though this spring is right there on the low car cable, it doesn't always return 100%. So by having this auxiliary spring, which of course also will return the gas pedal, it works out good. And then this is the other bracket that we have for the low car cable, is right up here, right off that from the transmission. So that gives you an idea what we did on our AOD for the TV cable. All right, well, let's get going here. By the way, my truck is warmed up. I've been driving it a little bit, so you can see that the water is at 205 and trans is at 171. Today it is 101 degrees outside, so it is running a little bit warm. This here is the throttle valve pressure on my AOD transmission. So that's what we'll be looking at. And you can see the speed is over here, so you'll get an idea of when it shifts. You can see now with us in overdrive that the throttle valve pressure is 0. And if I shift it to drive, you see how it immediately goes up almost 20 pounds. And then I'll put it back in overdrive and I'll go back down. Normally in town, I'm going to drive and not overdrive, because the only time it really gets in the overdrive is when I'm on some of the streets on the outer skirts of town. And here we go again. Taking off, mild throttle again. Second gear. High gear. And you can tell by the throttle valve pressure, I have very little pressure on the gas pedal right now. Just kind of cruising along. Now we'll give it a little bit more gas. Now at the speed we're at, if I back off, we'll get overdrive. Here we go, there's overdrive. Okay, we're stopped here on the side of the road. I'm just waiting for traffic to clear. And this will be a more like aggressive type of getting going. So we're in first gear, second gear, third gear. And unfortunately, we get another stoplight for fourth gear, but that gives you an idea with a little heavier throttle